Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on today's VA Facebook Live event. My name is Linda Davis, and I'm VA's Chief Veteran Experience Officer and a proud Army veteran. Today, you're going to hear from 4 amazing women veterans who are accomplished and respected leaders in their fields. They advocate for veterans just like you and I do every day. I'm grateful for the progress VA is making in prioritizing customer service under the leadership of Secretary Robert Wilkie, and now with the strong support of Acting Deputy Secretary Pam Powers, the first woman veteran to hold that critical position. And we know together we can do even more to serve those who have served, especially our women veterans, who now make up 9.5% of the 20 million veterans alive today. At VA, we're committed to being even more responsive to this rapidly growing population of women veterans, whether they are patients at our VA medical facilities across the country or are seeking benefit support for education, employment, or housing. It is my great honor to introduce today's guests, Army veteran Jill Baker, Army veteran Sergeant Major Michelle Jones, Marine Corps veteran Captain Kata Rodriguez, and Air Force and National Guard veteran Colonel Wanda Wright. Ladies, welcome and thank you for your time today. I would like to encourage those viewing this virtual panel to ask questions by using the chat box on this video. We will respond to as many of you as possible. We also always appreciate hearing from you through our Office of Women Veterans. Now, let's begin.
What are the most pressing issues women veterans are bringing to our attention, and what resources do you recommend as most helpful for these pertinent issues?
One of the most important ones that I will say is opportunities. Opportunities in a place and space of employment. Too many times, a company say that they are veteran friendly, but the question is whether or not they're friends with veterans. And what I mean by that, particularly women veterans, when they offer positions, are they just jobs or are they career positions? Are the salaries, is the pay, are the benefits the same as for their male counterparts? Too often not. When they talk about senior leaders in their key positions within their organizations, take a poll, find out whether or not they are women in those positions. Too often they are not. The second piece is homelessness. Homelessness, yes, in the street. Homelessness, living in the car with the children. But just as important, if not more so, and I shouldn't say more so, but is often common or more common, are women that are living in a place that is not their own home. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be some place in space that is not their home. They don't have the economic power to get to where they want to be. They don't have the economic power to stay or sustain or to exceed where they want to be.
I think that for women veterans, some of the most pressing issues are really related to transitioning from the military into the civilian sector and finding the same level of support, the same sense of community, the same sense of purpose that we had while we were on active duty. And I think all veterans experience that, but women in particular have some very unique challenges. One of them being that women tend to shy away from asking for help, as we're so used to, taking care of ourselves, taking care of children, potentially taking care of families, kind of serving as that kind of backbone. And so transitioning out of the military, I think a lot of women oftentimes working to meet other people's needs or have learned to take care of other people's needs, oftentimes fail to take care of their own needs, whether it's the need for social support, whether it's a need to establish relationships that will allow them to really excel when they're looking for employment.
So some of the most pressing issues that women veterans are facing at this time are unemployment, underemployment, and housing instability. We have a program here called Be Connected, and it is a resource network for issues that might be affecting veterans across the state of Arizona. What we found through that process is that although we aren't getting a significant increase in number of calls, the calls we are getting are of a higher acuity, meaning that there are a lot more problems with each call, and they can be anywhere from financial instability, morale issues, it can be underemployment, unemployment, housing instability, and a number of other issues that may come up with veterans in their lives. What we're also seeing is that women veterans don't always understand their eligibility of services and benefits through the federal VA or the state departments of Veteran Affairs. And it's important that women have that access and do understand all of those eligibility that they are enabled to get. And so we want to just make sure that they understand all of those services and benefits offered through those departments. Now, some of the resources that are available, we want to engage with women veterans program managers at each of the VA hospitals and the VA regional offices, and even at the State Department of Veteran Affairs. Those are very good advocates for women veterans when they are having needs that need to be assisted with. And so we just want to make sure that everybody understands that those individuals are available to them. In every state, there are either county or state veteran service officers that can support women through filing claims on their behalf for a disability or for pension, for that matter. And we want to make sure that women understand that that they're veterans and that they can also file for disability that might have occurred during their military service. Another resource is the VA Center for Women Veterans. This is a VA resource, and it is a great resource for finding out information on services and benefits for women veterans. They acknowledge women veterans from across the nation. They have a lot of programs, and they also conduct conferences each year. And so I highly recommend you go to their webpage. And of course, there's local veteran service organizations within each state and local community support for women in each state. And so I highly recommend you look into all of those.
So in April 2017, I facilitated a focus group, and I invited 4 target groups: women veterans, women who were currently serving, military spouses, and parents who had children in the military, particularly children who were daughters, had their daughters were in the military. And we had a really good conversation. And out of that focus group came 6 pressing issues, which they identified. So I'm going to share those with you today. The first one was the transition from military to civilian employment, with the need for a vetted referral network of jobs for veterans, reservists, and military spouses. Number 2, community support, social outlets for families, and a ladies' night. Resource and referral. A one-door statewide service 2-in-1 came out as being really important, and our CVEB is currently working toward solidifying a partnership with our state 2-in-1. A vehicle, and under that resource and referral, a vehicle, house, appliance, fixed referral list during times of need when spouses are deployed. Awareness, meaning a focus on the national level for female service members. That advocacy piece is what led me here today to speak on this panel. Family support, with a particularly important focus on child care resources. On the east side of South Dakota, we have reservists and National Guard, and so they don't have the type of military installation that our active duty do. And so that is a problem that they would like to work on. And then finally, a destigmatization of counseling and support services. So our CVEB has used this qualitative data since that time to really help steer our partnerships and collaborative relationships within South Dakota. And recently, There has been an interest at the state level, local level, and even some federal resources and national resources to help South Dakota develop a network of care for our veteran and military community. So I'm really excited to be part of that going forward. Question number 2. We know from listening to women veterans, they have specific moments that matter. In your experience, what are the key moments that matter to women veterans in your communities or across your state?
Specific moments that matter. Let's talk about Veterans Day. Veterans Day, yes, it's a great day, and celebrations are many, and I am very grateful, as are all veterans. However, the difference in the women's service and why women should be highlighted is every woman that has ever served in the military volunteered. No woman was drafted. So our service is unique, and it continues to be unique. It's not a matter of mitigating or lessening or just saying that, oh, they're special because they're women. No, we are unique in the method in which we served, and the fact that the opportunities within the military were not always equal, but we continued to join. So that's the other thing. So Veterans Day, highlighting women, is critical. The other thing is organizations that are doing the same thing. Have women out there. If you're part of an organization, and it doesn't have to be Veterans Day, but any day that recognizes the service of veterans, period.
From listening to women veterans, there are specific moments that matter. And I think that some of those are really as you look out to establish that connectivity, a lot of that is built on trust. So achieving that moment where you achieve that level of trust, that level of acceptance, that whatever the challenge is, it's something that can be worked through, but you can't do that unless you trust the person, the organization, the agency that you're working with to address any issues that you face. And so for women, being able to maybe find a mentor that they trust, whether it's finding a doctor that they trust to address their own personal needs, whether it's finding someone that they can trust to, just to reach out to when they need some sort of emotional support. Those are all things that really matter in a person's life, in a woman's life, I think, and something that we should all strive to do. As a community, what we can do is to help women find those moments. And by what I say, as I mentioned earlier, women sometimes don't reach out for help. And as community organizations, as government agencies, what we can do better is to, one, I of course identify the biggest challenges, but two, reach out in a way that actually connects with those women, making very deliberate, educated outreach initiatives or outreach efforts that are specifically targeted to meeting women where they are. Oftentimes we see that we have, some types of event, and they're very broad, and that's okay. I mean, there are a lot of different needs within the veteran community, within different age demographics, within, different eras of veterans. But if we want to specifically target one in particular, then the way that we conduct that outreach must be in the same way that it can be received, in a way that will allow that person to trust the organization or the agency.
I try to listen to women veterans all the time. I am part of the VA Women Veteran Committee, and it's important for me to bring back information from women veterans to that committee so that we can help the VA address them. One of the things that we use in our state is the Women Veteran Expos, and we try to honor women where they are. So we take these little show on the road to localities all across Arizona. We help them understand their eligibility for services and benefits. We offer mindfulness kind of classes. We partner with the VA to bring in clinicians to talk about women-specific care, and those have been very beneficial in addressing specific issues in those moments that women need them. And we also recognize Women Veteran Day in our state. I think this is a really important thing to acknowledge when women began to serve. across the nation. And we always are trying to remind women that as veterans, they matter too, and that they have all of these things available to them that they should take advantage of.
So, we often talk about the transition from military to civilian life as if that's the most critical moment in that determines a veteran's outcome for health and wellness. But I think it's much more complex than that. I think it's important to address a veteran's life transitions over time, such as going to college with undiagnosed mental health issues, or becoming a parent, getting married, or finding a job where you don't feel stigmatized because you're a woman and you learned a more masculine way of working in a team environment. And so as a CVEB, Community Action for Veterans can look at these transitions over time and, help build that network of care around these types of social determinants of health, things like employment, housing, education, food security, support systems, and healthcare. And I have great hope that we, as a state, that we will create that type of meaningful impact over time. Question 3, reflecting on those moments that matter, how can we come together as a more supportive veteran community to better address those key moments in tangible, impactful ways?
How can we be more supportive? First of all, not being competitive. If there's an organization, multiple organizations that want to come together to support women veterans, there should be one banner, and that banner says Women Veterans. All the companies can be listed, all the organizations can be listed. However, just saying Women Veterans, period. Another thing, accountable. If organizations say that they are supporting women veterans, then find out. They must be able to quantify what they're doing. Are they holding events? Are they giving seminars? Are they providing services? Are they providing not just links, but those links that women are actually being serviced to get to where they want to be? The other thing is, not getting involved in politics, but if you want to, great. But if those politicians, be it local, national, whatever, if they're not saying and they're not doing what you need them to do to represent you, then speak with your vote.
I would say that what's really important is having a collaborative outreach. We all are pieces of a puzzle. We have the VA, we have state departments, we have nonprofits, we have community resources. And it's important that all of us work together in order to acknowledge that women are veterans and that they sometimes have special needs that need to be addressed, and that all of us together can help. And I think it's very important that we meet the veterans where they are. That's why our Women Veteran Expos are so important. We take them across the state and meet women where they are, and we try to inform them on the things that are important to them in that time.
I think there's a disconnect between how the world works in the minds of service members and veterans and our civilian counterparts. As a woman veteran, I've been exposed to that darker side of the disconnect and have even been unfairly stereotyped within civilian workspaces and even within friend circles, where I thought I was accepted and then I found out that I wasn't. And it's really hard when you have professional aspirations and these friendships that don't pan out, and you're faced with remaking yourself over and over again. However, it's been in my experience that when I reach out to others as co-chair of Community Action for Veterans, when I nurture the idea of creating a positive impact around these issues, that people are stepping up. They want to help. They're eager to participate, and they are open to learning more about the veteran military culture, and we just need to give them the space to do that. What other advice, resources, or information would you like women veterans to be aware of, which might help them overcome challenges?
Again, it really goes back to reaching out. There are so many organizations, there are so many services. My own organization, 4Block, our entire mission is to help veterans find meaningful careers and their sense of purpose in their life after the military so that they can use all of the skill sets and all of the talents to reach their full potential. All of that is built on building relationships that are built on trust, building relationships that are authentic, building relationships that are not just, not just connecting and networking, but actually building relationships that are built on trust, and everything revolves around that. I think that oftentimes, like I said before, women, we don't always, want to reach out. But if you look at this from a sense of, being your best self so that you can in turn come back and give to your own community, the best thing that you can do is to take care of yourself, to continue to improve. We learn in the military that you know yourself and you seek improvement. Those things are important, but the only way to do that is by reaching out and using all of the tools that are available to us. It's really incredible how many more resources there are available to, this generation, post 9/11 veterans, and there are to previous generations. And then also, I think one thing that's very important, once we have reached a point where we are able to, feel that sense of purpose, that we turn around and pay it forward to other women veterans. I mean, it's a very difficult challenge. But I know that if in using all of the tools that are resources that are available, we can have meaning after the military.
Ask the questions, attend the events, bring someone with you, speak up and speak out. No one knows our service better than we do. Support organizations. Some of the organizations, obviously, within the federal government, you have the Women's Bureau at the Department of Labor. Call them, email them, tell them they have connectivity to those businesses. Make sure that they know what you need in the place and space. There are committees that specifically study at the Department of Labor employment. Make your voice be heard. The Center for Women Veterans at the VA, they're doing a phenomenal job. They've elevated that directorate to another level. Reach out to them as well. Final Salute Inc., one of the organizations that I work with specifically in the place and space of homelessness and finding, giving and providing services and other things for women veterans. Hashtag Invisible No More. There's also Women's Vet USA has a host of websites. Now, I will say there are a lot, and depending on what you need. So my thing to you is this: there are things out there. Please ask the questions today.
So I'd really like to speak a little bit and give a shout out to the VA Center for Women Veterans. I think there's a lot of information on their website. They do many programs, women events, and they do research. And it's a great page to look at to find out what kind of research is being done on women veterans in the medical field and for services and benefits. Great papers out there for women to look at to see, how they may benefit from some of the research that has been done. And I think the other thing that I'd really like to talk about is that, as women, we sometimes need to be reminded that we are veterans. We took the oath just like everybody else. And so we need to reframe our minds if we don't believe that. And so look at yourself in the mirror and recognize that you are a veteran too. You may be a woman, and that's okay, but there's special services and benefits out there for us, and we need to take advantage of them. That is why they're there, and we want to make sure that you as an individual have everything that you need to have a great quality of life.
I think a woman veteran's greatest resource and her greatest challenge is herself. I believe that we must push through whatever experiences we had as service members and veterans and advocate for ourselves, both within the Veterans Administration and in the civilian workspaces. I would encourage other women veterans to write letters to their VA reps, talk to patient advocates, and find safe spaces to help them work out their feelings. And by bringing awareness of the issues you are facing into the light, you are advocating not just for your own health, but for the health and wellness of other women veterans. I lived for many years with undiagnosed PTSD due to military sexual trauma. And it was only after my I had some trauma as a parent that I really started to work on my personal issues and advocate for myself. And I know that sometimes, hiding out can be a much easier coping skill, but it won't get you anywhere. To truly start healing your bodies and our minds, we must walk the walk. If you only take one thing away from what I've said today, remember this. When you advocate for yourself, you will find the advice, resources, and information needed to fit your needs. We're all different. We all have different needs, but you are worth it, and I wish you luck on your journey.
Thank you very much, Jill, Michelle, Kata, and Wanda, for sharing your thoughts and your expertise with us today. It was both informative and insightful. I learned a lot. I would also like to thank everyone who joined us. We know you have busy lives, and we appreciate the time you have spent with us. If we were unable to answer your questions during this event, I encourage you to call the Women Veterans Call Center at 1-855-VA-WOMAN for additional assistance. And as always, if you or any veteran you know or serve is ever at risk or in need of immediate assistance, please contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. I would also like to invite you to join us for another live Women Together event today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During this next hour-long Rally Point event, the VA, the American Legion Auxiliary, and the National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs will be answering questions around critical topics for women veterans, including health, benefits, appeals, employment, caregiver support, mental health, suicide prevention, memorial services, and survivor assistance. Wow. It also promises to be a very educational event. Again, I want to offer my respect and my gratitude to our panelists and to our audience for your service to our country. Please be well and stay well.